Picture a large, futuristic, six-wheeled van rolling to a stop in an open field. It looks like something a film studio would design for a science fiction movie, all sharp angles and brute presence. Then the back of the van opens, and something climbs out. A sleek two-seat aircraft, folded up inside the cargo bay, unfolds its arms, spins up its rotors, lifts off the ground, and flies away into the sky, while the van sits there, empty, waiting for it to come back. This is not a concept render or a movie effect. It is a real product, built on a real assembly line in China, and roughly 7,000 people have already placed an order to buy one. It is called the Land Aircraft Carrier, built by a company called Airage, the flying car spin-off of the major Chinese electric car maker Xpeng. The name is almost painfully literal. It is a carrier, on land, for an aircraft. The first unit rolled off a brand new factory line in Guangzhou in late 2025. The price is around 2 million yuan, roughly 280,000 to 300,000 US dollars, and the company says it will start handing them to actual paying customers by the end of 2026. So the flying car, the thing humanity has been promised in cartoons and films for 100 years, is finally here, and you can buy one, sort of. And that sort of is where this story gets genuinely interesting, because we need to be honest about several things before you start clearing space in your driveway. Those 7,000 orders are mostly pre-orders, reservations, not 7,000 machines already delivered. The flying part still needs to clear the same brutal safety certification that every aircraft on Earth must pass before it can carry people freely. And this is not the flying sedan of science fiction that you will commute to work in. It is something more limited and in some ways more clever than that. But here is what you need to understand. Even with every one of those honest caveats, what Xpeng has built is a genuine breakthrough, because it appears to have solved a problem that defeated brilliant engineers for an entire century. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what that problem was, why every flying car before this one essentially failed, and the surprisingly simple idea that might finally make this one work. Start with the dream itself, because the flying car is one of the oldest fantasies in modern technology. Since at least the 1940s, inventors have promised that any year now, you would drive your car to an open stretch of road, unfold a set of wings, and take to the air. It is the ultimate symbol of the future. And for 80 years, it has been an almost perfect graveyard of failure. Brilliant people poured fortunes into it. A handful of working flying cars were actually built. You can, technically, even buy one or two of them today. And yet the skies are empty. There is no flying car in your neighbor's garage. So the real question is not, can we build one? We did that decades ago. The real question is why, after 80 years of trying, did the flying car never, ever catch on? And the answer is a single, brutal piece of engineering truth. A good car and a good aircraft are opposite machines. They want opposite things. Think about what makes a car good. You want it heavy enough to feel planted and safe, low to the ground, strong, packed with crash protection, with wheels and a chassis built to handle potholes and curbs. Now, think about what makes an aircraft good. You want it as light as humanly possible, because every kilogram is the enemy of flight. You want big wings or rotors, delicate aerodynamic surfaces, and a fragile, weight-obsessed structure where adding a steel bumper would be insane. These two lists are not just different. They actively fight each other. Every feature that makes a vehicle a better car makes it a worse aircraft, and the reverse is just as true. So for 80 years, every flying car was a compromise, a machine trying to be two opposite things at once, and the result was always a vehicle that was a bad car and a bad aircraft simultaneously. Too heavy and awkward to fly well, too compromised and fragile to drive well, and usually too expensive and complicated for anyone to want. The flying car did not fail because the dream was impossible. It failed because of the compromise at its very heart. And that is the twist. That is the elegant, almost obvious in hindsight idea that sets Xpeng's machine apart from a century of beautiful failures. They looked at that impossible compromise, the one that broke everyone before them, and they simply refused to accept it. They asked a different question. What if you stop trying to build one machine that does both jobs badly, and instead build two machines that each do one job perfectly? That is the entire concept of the land aircraft carrier, and it is why it is not really a flying car at all. It is two separate, specialized vehicles designed to work as a team. The first is the mothership, the big six-wheeled van. It does not try to fly. It is a pure ground vehicle, and it is free to be everything a great ground vehicle should be. Big, sturdy, comfortable, with a huge battery and a backup gasoline generator, giving it a range of over 1,000 kilometers, able to drive almost anywhere and carry your whole family. Its only flying-related job is to be a garage, a charger, and a launch pad for its partner. And the second machine is the aircraft, the eVTOL pod that lives in the back. Because it never has to drive on a road, it is freed to be a pure flying machine. It can be feather light, built largely from aviation-grade carbon fiber, shaped entirely for the sky, with no need for crumple zones or curb-proof wheels. Each machine, released from the impossible compromise, gets to be excellent at the one thing it does. The van is a great van, the aircraft is a great aircraft, and together they deliver the dream that the single machine flying car never could. You drive to where you want to fly, and then you fly. It is such a clean solution that the obvious question becomes, why did nobody build this sooner? And why is it a Chinese electric car company doing it now? And that answer is its own fascinating story. So if you are enjoying this, take a moment to subscribe, because the reason this is happening in this country at this exact moment is about far more than one clever vehicle. The honest answer is that three separate things all became true at the same time, and only recently. The first is the rise of electric vehicle technology. That little aircraft is possible because of the exact same breakthroughs that powered the electric car revolution: dense, powerful batteries, compact and reliable electric motors, and sophisticated computer flight control. An eVTOL is, in a real sense, a child of the electric vehicle. And who is better placed to build it than a company that already mastered batteries, motors, and software by building electric cars? Xpeng did not stumble into this from aerospace. It walked in from the car industry, carrying exactly the technology the aircraft needed. The second thing is manufacturing. A flying car that costs $10 million and is built one at a time by hand is a toy for the ultra-rich, which is what most previous attempts were. Xpeng's ambition is radically different. It built a real factory in Guangzhou, designed to eventually produce up to 10,000 of these units a year, aiming at one finished aircraft roughly every 30 minutes at full speed. That is not the logic of a science experiment. That is the logic of mass production, the same industrial muscle that let China take over electric cars, solar panels, and drones, now aimed at the sky. And the third thing is the one most people outside China have never heard of, and it might be the most important of all. The Chinese government has officially decided it wants this future, and it has given it a name: the low-altitude economy. Beijing has formally designated the airspace near the ground, below a few hundred or 1,000 meters, as a brand new economic frontier to be developed on purpose, the way it once developed its highways and high-speed rail. It has written the low-altitude economy into its top-level national plans. Cities are being told to build vertiports and landing pads. Airspace is slowly being opened. Regulators are creating entirely new rules for these vehicles, and Chinese aviation authorities have moved faster than almost anyone in the world to certify electric aircraft. In other words, Xpeng is not building this flying car into an empty void, hoping someone someday allows it. It is building it into a market that the most powerful government on Earth has decided, from the top down, to will into existence. That combination, electric vehicle technology, mass manufacturing, and a state clearing the skies exists nowhere else in the world at this scale. That is the real reason the flying car is arriving here first. So let's look at what this thing can actually do, and just as importantly, what it cannot. The flying module is a two-seat aircraft with 6 rotors, lifted and steered entirely by electric power. The cockpit has a sweeping panoramic canopy, nearly 300 degrees of glass, so it feels less like a cramped pod and more like a flying observation deck. And Xpeng made a remarkable claim about how you fly it. The controls have been simplified down to essentially a single joystick, with the onboard computer handling the genuinely hard parts of flight, the balancing and stabilizing automatically. The company says an ordinary person can reach basic flying proficiency in around 10 minutes. The aircraft is light, around 700 kilograms, and the mothership can recharge it from 30% to 80% in about 18 minutes, enough juice for several short flights in an afternoon before the van itself needs topping up. But now the limits, stated plainly, because this is where the science fiction fantasy meets physics. This aircraft flies for roughly 30 minutes on a charge. Its useful range is short, on the order of tens of kilometers, and its top speed in the air is gentle, comparable to a fast scooter, not a jet. You are not going to leap into this and fly 200 miles to another city. The honest picture is short, low, scenic hops, flying over a national park, crossing a bay, taking off near a resort to see a coastline from above, reaching a spot a ground vehicle would take an hour to get to. That is the real near-term use, and Xpeng knows it, which is why it is targeting tourism, sightseeing, and emergency uses like search and rescue first, not your daily commute. It is a luxury experience and a specialized tool, not yet a transportation revolution. And there is one more wall standing between those 7,000 orders and people actually taking to the skies, and it is the biggest one of all. If you are finding this as fascinating as I am, this is the moment to subscribe, because this last obstacle is the one that decides whether any of this is real. That obstacle is certification. Driving the van is easy. In China, it needs only an ordinary driver's license. But flying the aircraft is a completely different matter, because the moment a machine carries a human into the air, it enters the unforgiving world of aviation safety. Cars are allowed to be imperfect. Aircraft are not. An eVTOL has to prove to aviation regulators that it will essentially never catastrophically fail, a standard of near zero tolerance that takes years of testing to satisfy. And as of now, the land aircraft carrier's flying module has not yet completed that full certification. Xpeng is deep in the process with China's aviation authority, which even had to write brand new special rules because nothing quite like this existed before. The company has rolled units off the line, it has flown the aircraft publicly many times, and it sounds genuinely close, but until that certificate is granted, those 7,000 orders are a promise, not a delivery. Xpeng's own leadership has said the whole management team will fly the aircraft themselves before a single customer does. The factory is ready. The orders are real. The final gate is the one no amount of manufacturing can rush, the slow, deliberate machinery of proving a flying machine is safe. So step back and put this in perspective, because Xpeng is not alone, and the honest picture matters. Around the world, a whole wave of companies is chasing electric flight. In America, firms like Joby and Archer have spent years and billions building electric VTOL air taxis, though they are still grinding through certification and are not yet flying paying passengers freely either. China's own car giants, Geely and others, are deep in the same race, and Geely even owns the American flying car pioneer Terrafugia. This is a global contest, and nobody has truly crossed the finish line into everyday flying yet. What makes Xpeng's entry stand out is not that it is alone, but that it paired the cleverest design idea, splitting the machine in two, with the manufacturing muscle of a real car company and the backing of a government clearing the skies. Even the skeptics who tour that factory, the journalists who walked in expecting vaporware, have come away saying the same thing. This is real. The engineering is genuinely impressive, and the line is actually running. The fair criticism is not that it is fake. It is that the near-term market, scenic flights for wealthy enthusiasts, is narrow, and the leap from that niche to anything resembling mass personal flight is still enormous and uncertain. So what is the real achievement here, underneath the jaw-dropping footage of a van that gives birth to an aircraft? It is the same pattern that keeps appearing across Chinese industry, and it is bigger than one vehicle. Xpeng did not just build a cool gadget, it is attempting to manufacture an entirely new category of product, at scale, before anyone else, and to build the whole ecosystem around it at the same time. The cars and the aircraft, yes, but also the factory, the supply chain, even dedicated battery production that a supplier spun up specifically for these flying machines. And it is doing it inside a country that is simultaneously building the landing pads, writing the air traffic rules, and opening the airspace to receive them. The flying car is the dazzling object you see. The real story is a nation deciding to create a low-altitude industry from scratch, with its car companies, its manufacturing base, and its government all pushing in the same direction at once. That is the thing almost no other country can currently do. Not build a single flying car, but stand up the entire world that a flying car needs in order to exist. So picture that field one more time. The big six-wheeled van, sitting quietly, and above it, a small electric aircraft hovering against the sky, carrying two people who needed only 10 minutes to learn how to fly it, looking down at a landscape they could never have reached this way before. It is not the flying car from the movies, the one that replaces your daily drive. Not yet, and maybe not for a long time. The flights are short, the price is high, the rules are still being written, and the certificate is not yet signed. But for the first time in 100 years of broken promises, a flying machine you can actually order is rolling off a real production line, built by people who finally stopped trying to make one machine do two impossible jobs. The dream was never going to arrive the way the cartoons imagined. It is arriving as a van and its aircraft quietly from a factory in Guangzhou, and whether it becomes the future of travel or stays a luxury for the few, one thing is now beyond doubt. The flying car has finally left the realm of fantasy and entered the realm of manufacturing. If this changed how you think about how close the future actually is, you know what to do. Subscribe. There is a lot more to show you.